Many comments under Henry's post were fans of Serena. Serena forwarded his Facebook post and replied, "Don't do this to me. This will bring you enemies." The names were related to Serena, very easy to recognize. Serena looked up at Jake and called, "Darling." "Well?" Jake frowned and wiped away her tears, gazing at her phone. Taking her cell phone over and looking at the comments underneath, his face became colder. She noticed his change and grabbed the phone back, locked the screen, and warned him, "Don't be impulsive. Henry has already solved it for me." "I won't." Jake spread his hands and pushed her gently. He said, "Now, go take a shower first." Serena was not completely convinced, looking back at him with a warning look. After Jake looked through the post on her phone, his face became more and more gloomy. These trolls were hurting people without cost, which was why they were so arrogant. His face became dark and he grabbed his cell phone, downloaded Facebook, and logged in. About 10 minutes later, he sent out a post. "I am lucky that after I left for 4 years, the bad guys did not get their way and the good people are still safe. The wedding I promised my wife did not happen 4 years ago, so now I would like to invite you to our wedding. I will announce the time and place. This is Jake Robinson." No pictures and no emoji. It couldn't be simpler. Anyone who knew him knew that this was his style. Once Jake posted that, the replies and likes came faster than he had imagined. He took Serena's phone and found that the Facebook post that had just been forwarded by Serena had already received tens of thousands of likes and comments. He searched for his own name and used her account to forward his own post and typed a few words. "Darling, I love you." He added a kiss and hug emoji with it. Seeing these words, Jake's lips curled. When hearing that the door of the bathroom was open, Jake locked the screens of the 2 mobile phones at the same time and put them aside. Serena put her hair down and left it drying on her shoulders. Seeing the appearance of Jake, she felt a little weird. Pulling the robe on her body, Serena went to pick up her mobile phone, but he pulled her forward to the bed. Jake turned over and pressed her against the bed. "It's not healthy to use your phone before sleeping. Why don't we do something that will help us relax and get a good night's rest?" Serena's face turned slightly red. In fact, she didn't wear anything underneath her bathrobe. But now she still did not want to do it yet. She pushed him and reached out to get the phone on the bed. "I will just take a look." "Don't look at that. Look at me." Jake untied the towel on his waist and kissed her deeply. I'm going to... What's the hurry?" Jake held her tightly and whispered in satisfaction, "You have grown up a lot. These are now softer." Serena blushed and said, "It's natural after giving birth." Jake untied her bathrobe, put his hands on her hips, and said in a deep and charming voice, "Shall we have one more?" "No." Serena looked at him and whispered, "We already have a son and a daughter and an adopted son. Why do you want so many children?" Jake heard that, smiled, and tapped on her nose. "I didn't have a chance to raise them when they were babies. Give me one more so that I can try taking care of a baby." "Family planning, Mr. Jake?" "Now there's a reform so that we can have more." Jake sucked on her lips, carefully tasting it and whispering, "What do you think?" Serena looked up at him with black and bright eyes, suddenly smiled and said, 10 months. Can you hold back?" After hearing this, Jake frowned. Thinking of the hard days that he had endured, he frowned and asked, "What should we do? I didn't buy condoms." "I'm not taking pills either. Last night, they had not used any protection last night." Jake gently pursed his lips. His voice was low and sultry. "Let's just see what happens. If the baby comes, we will have it." After that, kisses rained on her chin and neck. He gently kissed her collarbone and then her chest. He was gentle and devout, like the most loyal believer, worshiping his only belief. So careful, loving, and compassionate. Today, he was much gentler than last night. Obviously, he was deliberately suppressing himself. At the end of the day, Serena felt very relaxed, physically and mentally, and fell into a deep sleep. Jake cleaned up and took the phone next to him. Under his Facebook post, there were tens of thousands of comments. He had a look and found that many people were congratulating them. One person commented, 4 years ago, Serena had such a hard time, but fortunately, you are back. Wish you happiness." Someone else said, "A ghost! I thought you were dead, you know. All kinds of news are reporting that you're dead, you know. Why don't you come home if you're alive? Did you lose your memory like the characters in those love stories? A car accident? Did you go save the world like Altman? Anyway, treat your wife better in the future." Another user showed their disbelief, commenting, "What? Wedding? Where will it be? Can I go? I want an invitation, please. Hit like if you want to go as well." There were all sorts of random comments. After seeing no one accusing her again, Jake quietly breathed a sigh of relief. Taking her cell phone, he saw a WhatsApp message sent by Henry. "Ignore those words on the internet. We know what happened ourselves. I wish you happiness." And the second message? "We are always good friends." Jake looked at that message and smiled coldly. Good friends? Henry thought Jake didn't know what he wanted with his wife. It was so obvious. Jeremy was still reluctant to call him his father, mostly because of Henry. His eyes darker, Jake quickly tapped the phone and replied, "She is too tired and has fallen asleep. This is Jake."